Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
Well, his latest book is DemoCRIPS and ReBLOODlicans, bestseller. We sell all of his books at InfoWarsStore.com. And giving viewers a first look, here's the new cover of what's coming out in October, and I really like it. They killed our president. And it goes over 63 facts that prove a conspiracy to kill JFK. This is the 50th anniversary. They've said no one allowed in the big park at Dealey Plaza, but people that agree with the official story for the first time. So I'm going to be there with thousands demonstrating for the First Amendment. And I've invited Jesse Ventura to be there with us. He is considering it. And Gov, you've been gone about 5-6 months. It's great to have you back. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks, Alex. Great to be here. I'll tell you, I enjoyed my time in Mexico. I didn't watch television from January 2nd until about a couple weeks ago.
I've seen you when you get back from Mexico. You look 10 years younger.
I feel 10 years younger, too. You know what I did down there this year that was life-changing?
What was that?
I went to, my wife and I, we took a 500-mile trip to this lagoon, and you got to go about 100 miles off the main road through this rough road to get there. And the Mexicans in a small boat took us out into this lagoon, and the gray whales will come up to you, and you can sit in the boat and actually physically touch them.
Wow.
And mothers bring up their babies, and they actually lift them up. And I actually put my hands inside the whale's mouth and scratched their gums.
You told me you were going to break a life-changing event here on air. That is amazing.
I'll tell you, Alex, I can't describe. And when you look into their eyes, you see nothing but intelligence. And again, they approach you. You don't go to them. You go out there, and then they will come up to you. In this lagoon, there must have been at least 30 of them.
That is just magic. Can you believe people ever hunted those?
Well, I'll tell you, I was so moved. I thought with my old frogman experience, I was ready to join those guys that go disable the ships that kill them, because I got trained by the best. I know how to disable ships. That ain't a problem.
Tell us how you sabotage the propellers and rudders.
No, because then they'll be able to defend against me. But no, it was, getting back to a more serious note, it was really something. I mean, we had one mother and her calf. She was 40 feet long, literally twice as long as our boat, and they must have stayed with us for an hour and 15 minutes.
From what I've seen of the physiology, they're basically the equivalent of like German shepherds.
I don't know. They're certainly, well, what it showed me, Alex, is this. Clearly they can communicate with each other. Because why would a mother, any mother of any animal with the instinct, is not going to bring their children up to something that endangers them? So clearly they know, in this particular lagoon with the Mexicans, they know they're in no danger. And it was unique for me because I never felt any danger or any fear. There's just an aura about it that these big, massive, giant mammals that live in the water present no harm to you. They're actually curious to see what we are.
In fact, they say that dolphins have the biggest brain of any mammal, cc size for their body weight, and they think they may be even smarter than humans.
Well, back when I was in the Navy, we were already there was a small program the underwater demolition teams had. I wasn't part of it, but I had a couple buddies that worked on it for a while. They were actually using dolphins in underwater work to where they had the dolphins would go to the surface and get the correct tool and bring it back down to them.
Well, look.
And they also used them for mines and things like that in harbors.
Well, I've got to say that I don't blame those killer whales locked up in cages that are the equivalent of like a 100-square-foot prison cell. I don't blame them when they end up killing their trainers. That is incredibly inhumane.
That's a great segue, Alex, because I'll comment on that and say, wait a minute, that's what our government wants to do to you and I. want to lock us in cells to keep us safe.
Absolutely. The whole nanny state. Break it down.
No, I mean, it's like the joke, the cartoon I saw, where a mother, a father, and the two children are sitting at the dinner table, and they're all exclaiming, gee, I feel safe now. The only thing is they're locked inside a cell.
Well, that's what Eisenhower said. He said total safety is total tyranny.
Exactly.
It's prison.
It's like Ben Franklin said, for those that want to give up their liberty for security shall have and deserve neither.
Well, shifting gears into that, it's now out that everybody's being listened to, everything's being recorded, and thousands of corporations get contracts to give all your data to the government, and then they get to share it. And I've had telecom whistleblowers say that they can just dial into anybody's phone, turn it on, listen to you. It's all confirmed. Everything we talked about now proven right. Al-Qaeda run by the government, now admitted. Do we get an apology, Governor?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't think so, Alex. We deserve one. Or we deserve the mainstream media to say to us, geez, you guys were right. You know what bugs me about it? Lindsey Graham and Feinstein and all these are telling the public that we need this to fight terrorism. Well, what they're saying to me and to every American is that they think you and I are terrorists. Because why do they need to listen in on my phone calls and my emails to fight terrorism? I'm not a terrorist.
What do you make of Congressman Peter King saying arrest the Washington Post reporter that talked to Snowden? That's A. And then B, I think Snowden's a hero. What do you say?
I do too. Because the thing to remember is all people like that and the military, you take an oath to protect the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if somebody's asking you to do something that you feel violates the Bill of Rights, well, you shouldn't do it. And that's what these whistleblowers are doing. They're simply telling us the government lied to you. And yet, who's going to get prosecuted? Bradley Manning and him. They prosecute the messenger. Now, how can they prosecute them when it's the government and other entities that are committing crimes and you're reporting them?
That's right. And when they reported Fast and Furious within the ATF, they got in trouble. So you can't report within the chain because you've got criminals running the chain. Well,
clearly it goes that deep in this country. People need to understand, like when I made the statement, I love my country but not my government. Bad people, government is nothing but people. And bad people can get in charge. If you don't believe it, read about Germany in the 30s.
Well, that's another...
Bad people getting in charge. And then, of course, we brought so many I read books this last winter about all the Nazis we brought into this country that should have stood trial at Nuremberg. Instead, we brought them in here and gave them positions of authority.
Oh, my grandfather worked all over the Southwest in oil and gas, and the only places to go eat or stay were military bases a lot of the time in New Mexico, Arizona, West Texas. And he told me when I was a child, he almost got in fights all the time and got thrown out by MPs because he'd go into the restaurant and there'd be full of Nazis and SS, and he was part German growing up in Dallas, so he could speak some German, and he'd hear the obnoxious things they were saying about America, and it just blew him away. They were just crawling with Nazis.
Well, when that happened, we can thank Alan Dulles and all those people that, decided that they were better off here in this country and operating here than putting them on trial for Nuremberg. Look what we did. Look when I did conspiracy theory, and we found out that Eric Traub is the godfather of Plum Island, and this guy worked right underneath, I believe it was Himmler.
And Mengele.
Yeah, and his expertise was biological warfare, infecting ticks and mosquitoes with agents to kill people, and lo and behold, we end up with Lyme disease, the first recorded case in Lyme, Connecticut, right across the water from Plum Island.
It's just unbelievable. I think there's an article out today where they found a top Nazi living in Minnesota. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I don't watch the news, and I'm woefully ignorant. I don't read the paper, and I still haven't watched the news since I came home.
Yeah, top Nazi commander living in Minnesota since 1949. What do you think your dad would have thought of that?
Well, who knows? I don't know. Like I said, nothing surprises me anymore here.
Totally creepy. I mean, and we know authoritarian regimes spy on people, and they always say it's for your own good.
Alex, are we being sabotaged? I'm getting a whole bunch of interference over the line.
I did just hear some of that.
I'm not hearing you clearly now.
Okay, Governor, we're gonna call you back and to reconnect. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up. Call me back.
All right, call him back. Actually, I got a call by a very famous spy yesterday going, Alex, we're monitoring you. Everything's fine, Alex. Because we were just talking about him. The phone rings. And he goes, yes, we're monitoring you, Alex. You're too high. And I was like, what? And then his phone crackles and cuts out. And he calls back and he goes, and they're monitoring me. Can you imagine who it was I'm talking about? And he talks like that. It's probably just a bad phone line. That's probably all it is. Now, if they break on the line and say something to us, then we'll know the difference. But it is certainly a crazy world. I just skipped this network break because when I get Jesse on, I always just enjoy talking to him so much. We're getting Governor Ventura back on the line right now here with us. But, yeah, guys, just call him back on the same phone line. It's fine. All right, we don't need to make a big deal out of it. It's probably just a bad line. All right? Or give me his number. I'll dial it if you want. All right, folks. Again, we're here Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And the news websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And we have the nightly news and then all my films and so much more at PrisonPlanet.tv. And why is it called Prison Planet? We're fighting the globalist construction of the whole world being a prison that Governor Ventura was just talking about. And the criminals that run both major parties are the DemoCRIPS and the ReBLOODlicans, and that's the name of his latest book, available at InfoWarsStore.com. So be sure and shop with the good guys. And we've got Pro Pure water filters, 10% off with promo code WATER, the best gravity-fed filters out there. Governor Jesse Ventura joins us again. Is that better, Governor?
Yeah, it's better, but still a little interference. I'm getting you clear right now.
Okay, that's good. What do you make of it being openly said, okay, Al-Qaeda's the main force, something we talked about last year, and they are killing the Muslims, the minority groups, and the Christians and the Jews, but that's okay because Assad's a bad guy. Why do you think they're getting so bold? I mean, the agenda's out in the open, but they just move forward.
It's all baffling to me, Alex. I'm still trying to figure out why we don't just get the hell out of the Middle East. I mean, if you look at history, Anglo-Saxon European history, Christopher Columbus came here, and when he sailed here, it was to find a way to India to avoid the Middle East. So centuries ago, nobody wanted to go there. They wanted to avoid it. And Columbus was willing to sail off the flat earth at that time to take the chance to do it. Let's get the hell out of there. I mean, completely. I don't get it. I'll tell you what. If I run for president, I will follow the teachings of Major General Smedley Darlington Butler, who wrote the book War is a Racket, the two-time Congressional Medal of Honor winner. So anybody who wants to know my foreign policy, read General Butler's book and you'll know it.
Talk about running for president. I mean, I've got a sneaking suspicion you're going to do it. Are you 30%, 50%, 80% sure you're going to run?
No, I laid the gauntlet down. Here's what it'll take, Alex. It'll take, because I hate the bribery and raising the money, it'll take a grassroots movement to get me ballot access in all 50 states, and they will have to guarantee me we'll rise up and rebel if I'm not allowed in the debates, because you got to debate to win. And if those two criteria are met, I will give it serious consideration. But, and here's what I will run on. I will run on the simplest thing you can imagine. I will give the American people, for the first time since George Washington, the father of our country, the opportunity to vote for a president that doesn't belong to either political party and is not bought off by corporate money or special interest PAC money. And I will run on that issue alone, and I truly believe in a three-person race where you only need about 36% to win, I would stand a very good chance.
Well, I think you do stand a really good chance with Congress with a 10% approval rating. My issue is this. Why didn't the Libertarians approach you in the last cycle? Nothing against their candidate, but does anyone even remember their name?
Yeah, they're Johnson. I campaigned for him because I didn't want to run, Alex. The point is you got to pick your battle. 2016 is the most opportune time because there'll be no incumbent.
No, I agree with you. And of course,
for the independent movement when Obama won re-election. Because if Romney would have won, then you'd have an incumbent in 2016. You have to have an election with no incumbent.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. I mean, of course, I see.
That would be the reason I didn't want 2012 alone, because I don't do it to lose. I do it to win. And I don't do it just to make a statement.
No, I remember.
2016 is the best opportune time, and that's why I laid the gauntlet down. People got 2 years to get me ballot access, but I don't care. I don't want the Libertarian Party. I want to run with no political party.
No, I remember you last year explaining all that. I was being sarcastic. I like Gary Johnson overall. I just meant he didn't get hardly any attention. We tried to give him attention, but people would have given attention to Jesse Ventura, and I think it may have made more of a statement than you think it would. But I agree with you. The magic number is 2016 to ever have somebody who's not part of the system run for president. But we've talked about this. Do you think that they would come after you with more than just smears?
Well, of course, I don't know what they do, but, it all depends what you're polling. I mean, if you're polling 2%, they're going to ignore you. But if you all of a sudden are polling 20% or better, well, then mainstream media and the two parties, they're gonna come at you with both guns loaded. You'll see them team up on you. All of a sudden, Democrats and Republicans will become bosom buddies when it comes to a third entity. But my belief is, what the hell more can they do to me, Alex? Nothing. They've already tried to marginalize me, and they tell the world I'm crazy and all that stuff, but we know better than that. And the point is, I would go into the race pretty cavalier, really. Because, I have nothing to lose, do I?
No.
There you go.
The only way you'd lose is by not taking action, because you could win, but regardless, you'd inject real issues. So either way, you win by running. The only way you lose is by not running.
But I want some proof that the American people are going to stand with me, and the only way I see that is they're going to have to do a grassroots effort in all 50 states to get me on the ballot, get me ballot access.
So it's now time for people to organize, and then you will step into the arena.
When I see when I see that I've got ballot access, if I get it in all 50 states, I will give it very serious consideration. But that's what it'll take. So I figure I'll still be living in Mexico.
Well, you better be ready, obviously, for more.
I'll be ready, but the point is, it ain't going to happen. I don't believe it will. I think they've been drinking too much water. They got too much Prozac in their bodies to care.
Well,
Not enough of them.
People ask why Americans put up with so much. Our IQs have dropped about 20 points just from the hydrofluorosilicic acid. The roundups on record causing breast cancer to skyrocket. And we're all just basically narcotized, dying. We've been hit with a chemical attack. So you can't get mad at the public, Governor. They're victims.
They are victims. But again, like I said, Alex, I'm not going to do it on my own. I got to have the people with me, and I need some sign that they will be. And that's the perfect way. Let me see ballot access in all 50 states. They got 2 years to do it.
Let's talk about how people can organize that on the other side. Get into your lawsuit that continues against Chris Kyle to get your name back. And so much more, and some phone calls for former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. His show still airs with huge audiences on True TV, Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura. And we'll tell you about his new book that's coming out. ProPure is introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. This is the Pro One by ProPure. You wanted it, you got it. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It cuts out the acid derivative of fluoride. It is the only one that does it, And out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. This is a revolution against the tyrants. They love putting the toxic acid base of fluoride into your water. They love the fact that it's an adjuvant supercharging the trace Prozac in the water and the hormones and the other chemicals. By cutting out fluoride, you cut out the turbocharger in all the poison being artificially introduced into your body. This is what I use. It's a win-win. You get a high-quality product at the lowest price. You support the InfoWar. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro 1 filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Governor, we got a bunch of callers that want to talk to you. The toll-free number to talk specifically to Jesse Ventura, folks, is 800-259-9231. If you have a question, a comment, 800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air with the governor. But I don't want to hog him too much, but he won't be back with us till the book comes out in October, and he's promised us to come on first when he does those interviews. But expanding on what we were just talking about, dealing with the NSA and dealing with both parties circling the wagons and Congress having a 10% approval rating. I mean, this just can't go on forever, Governor. What scenarios, you're a pretty politically savvy guy, what scenarios do you see unfolding?
Well, I don't see any change naturally coming out of the two parties. They're going to come forward. I think we're going to end up with probably Hillary Clinton and maybe Jeb Bush.
Ugh.
Or some, maybe, Chris Christie might sneak in there or whatever. But nothing's going to change as long as the two parties continue to control our government. People that think you're going to have change are sadly mistaken. I mean, Obama ran on complete opposite of George Bush, and yet when he got in office, he's rubber-stamped George Bush's policies and just carried on right forward. That's all you're going to get, no matter which side wins. So the real revolution in this country has to come by stop electing them. And is that feasible? Probably not. Because the people just, I don't know why. Like you talked about them having only a 10% approval rating, yet over 90% of them get reelected.
I agree with what you're saying, and there's a clip we'll play in a few minutes of Ralph Nader saying Obama may be the greatest con artist in history. Because with Bush, he would pretty much say what he was going to do, and it was atrocious to watch unfold. But with Obama, it's like his bombs are love bombs. His secret arrests are loving. Everything he does is...
because he's a Democrat.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
They do the same thing, but they pat you on the back while they're doing it. The Republicans kind of kick you right in the knee when they do it. The Democrats sidle up to you and put their arm around you, but they do the same thing.
It's disgusting. Speaking of you running for president, hand out marching order specifics of what you'd like to see so you could run. And then I want to make the point, I'll make it now and get your comment. When I talk about dirty tricks and looking out, people that ask you to run better be ready to support you whatever happens, because they already said you were in a fight with police basically when you weren't even in California. And it looks like it was Hulk Hogan, in an argument with police. They already said that you were outside a bar, saying, down with the Navy, SEALs, I'm glad they're dead. And so that's what I wanted to ask you. First off, Chris Kyle, how bizarre is it that he gets killed like that in very suspicious circumstances? And where is the lawsuit going right now?
Well, it is bizarre. I didn't learn about it over the internet when I was in Mexico. The lawsuit is that the way the law works now is his wife becomes the executor of his estate, so I'm forced to sue her, which I have done. Now, again, I have no beef with her at all, but that's the procedure you have to follow. And none of the attorneys on that side will offer an apology or will speak the truth, so we're heading to court court, I guess, and I'm fully prepared to go. That would actually be the best for me, because when a jury and a judge find for me, then everyone in the world, it can do what it can to restore my reputation that he's tried to destroy and I don't know what reason. I've been cheated too, because I certainly want him alive so we can put him on the stand, and I'd like to know why he tried to throw me under the bus.
Well, he was
simply because I oppose the Iraq War, which any citizen has a right to do that.
Well,
I don't know, but so I've been cheated too. But the procedure says that I have to move forward and bring the lawsuit against her. And I know Bill O'Reilly got on TV or something last week and looked into the camera and told me to do the right thing and drop the lawsuit. Well, of course he's going to say that, because he's part of News Corps, and News Corps is also part of this publishing company. And believe me, if I win this lawsuit, I'm coming after them next.
Absolutely. Look, I told you day one, they timed it right when you went over the border, knowing you don't have a cell phone, knowing it took you days to get out there so you couldn't respond. They were already putting out dirty tricks. I've been the victim of these as well. And they were already engaged in that to try to destroy you. He was put up to it to sell the books, undoubtedly. And then he's mysteriously killed when you start winning the court case. I mean, for those that don't know, you were winning. It's going forward. You have witnesses. He didn't. You're going to win this. Now he's dead, because he was involved in very high-level national security, shadowy operations, and bragged in his book that he told lies in the media and engaged in psyops. And my gut tells me, he said, look, I'm not going down for this. You guys need to admit you put me up to it, and they took him out.
Well, I don't know. I can't make any statements concerning that at all, Alex. I don't know. All I know is what that my main objective has always been, and I offered it to him a year ago, the first time I ever met him at a preliminary conference. All it would have taken then was an apology and to admit that the story didn't happen, and he wouldn't do it. And so now it's been a year later, and thousands upon thousands of lawyer dollars spent.
Sure.
And I'm so far into it now, I have to see it to the conclusion. So as far as I can tell you right now, we will go to trial. I feel confident. The evidence is what it is. It never happened. And if you can lose a trial where something didn't happen, well, then I know that the United States of America truly indeed has lost its moral compass.
Absolutely. We saw the good news with the Supreme Court ruling that they can't patent our genes and then not let us have our own genes as a treatment. But getting back to this, I just want to be a character witness here for you, getting to fly around with you, getting to know you over the last now 7-8 years. Time flies. The only time, and the truth is you're a big sentimental teddy bear, the only time I've seen you tear up is when you see troops in the airport or veterans or people with their arms or legs blown off. I've seen you repeatedly talk about, that's why I oppose the war, is because of what it does to my fellow people in uniform. Yeah, I know you're sentimental. Your dad won a bunch of battle stars in the Battle of the Bulge. You come from a military family, and I don't want to sit here and get sappy, but I mean, that's why it's such an evil lie to say you'd go to a Navy SEAL commencement and then you'd say Navy SEALs deserve to die.
Well, Alex, that would also be suicidal. That would be the equivalent of going to the Hells Angels clubhouse and telling them they suck. Come on. And the point of the matter is that I view our soldiers and sailors and airmen as victims. War happens because of failed politics. Politicians are the cause of war. The poor service people are just the tool they use, and they're victims also.
And your mother was in North Africa.
It's our job as the civilian population. If you disagree with a war, then it's your job to try to ensure that our young men and women don't go die in a war that you don't agree with. And I'll throw this out there. Now that it's been nearly 10 years, it has been 10 years. I still haven't figured out why we invaded Iraq.
Absolutely. It's just as a bottomless pit to make no-bid contracts.
Well, and the point is, what's been successful about it? What did we accomplish? What's changed? Nothing.
But big banks siphon trillions of dollars out of taxpayers.
Well, other than that, other than Halliburton getting rich, that's why I wrote the preface for a book they're bringing out. They're bringing out General Smedley Butler's anti-war book from the 2-time Congressional Medal of Honor Marine.
republishing it?
They're redoing his book, Skyhorse, called War is a Racket, and I did the preface for it. And I think every kid in America should be required to read this book before they graduate from high school.
I've read it. It's a short, good book. We should carry that as soon as it comes out. We carry most of Skyhorse's great material at InfoWarsStore.com. Speaking of the book, you were telling me off air why you're doing this JFK book and that you want to make a statement about that.
Well, I'm doing the JFK book because, for my own selfish reasons, I want, for whatever, whether anyone cares 100 years from now or not, I want them to know that the 38th governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, does not agree with the Warren Commission or the government's official story on the murder of John F. Kennedy. And the only way I felt I could really, truly do that is to write a book about it, and then it'll be definitive. Anyone that reads it will know that Jesse Ventura certainly does not believe what he was told by our government or the results of the Warren Commission.
Just briefly, getting back to Chris Kyle before we go to calls. Any way you slice it, it was bad luck to lie about you.
I don't know about that at all. All I know is that the story was not true. It never happened, and I will defend till the end. And I will seek out the only way that I can clear myself, and that's through our court system. And so I really hope people aren't angry at me because the media tries to make it look like I'm going after. It's never been about money. It's been about the truth, and the media makes it look like I'm going after this widow and her family now, this war hero, and that isn't the case at all. It's what I have to do to clear my name for the slanderous things of being called a traitor to my country.
Well, one of the worst ways to hurt somebody is to say you're glad troops are dying. Exactly, and now they're telling you need to shut up after News Corps was with glee reporting that for months on air.
Yeah, exactly. And now Bill O'Reilly wants me to drop the lawsuit after he reports on it multiple times and poisons the public's mind over me. Now I'm supposed to do the right thing. Why won't he have me on to defend myself? There's a question. Your listeners, call Bill O'Reilly and ask him how come everybody gets to talk about this, but he won't let me on.
Let me tell you what he did to me 2 weeks ago. I never talk about sex stuff on the show. I haven't settled stuff for sexual harassment with people like he has. He plays a clip of me yelling about something completely different. It was about war, and says, this is the type of hate speech against women, and then has my face turn red on screen. And I'm telling you, these people are going crazy. I mean, there's something wrong with them. Because I've talked to lawyers who contacted me that I know, and they said clearly that's actionable, but I'm not going to do anything just because they discredit themselves. But it's just unbelievable. It seems like the whole world's going crazy, Jesse.
Well, not only that, Alex, but it's extremely expensive. When you bring litigation like I have, it costs a great deal. That's how, insurance companies are paying the other side, so it's truthfully me against the big insurance company or the publisher, not against the wife. And what they try to do is they try to run you out of money. They wait until the 11th hour and hope that you'll go away and hope that public pressure will cause you to, give up what you believe in, and they hope to run you out of money. And unfortunately, I have enough money that they can't run me out of it to get a case to court. And so we will go to court in August, I guess.
Unbelievable. I've got a few other points I want to get to, but we'll cover that after we take calls. But any other points, things in the news, things that are happening, Governor Ventura, that you want to impart to our audience?
Oh, no, not really. I'm just enjoying being back. I wish Tiger was doing a little better in the U.S. Open.
So you're rooting for Tiger?
Yeah. I want to see him come back and win another major because it'll slap all the pundits and all the media right in the nose.
Yeah, I don't get why he's choked so bad, but I think he was probably a narcissist and that kind of collapsed his worldview.
He doesn't choke, it's golf. Nobody chokes. It's a difficult game, Alex. You could have the wheels come off on any hole. If that club face is off by 1/16 of an inch, well, when you hit a 300-yard shot, that's 30
No, I know yards. That, but he won so many, and now he's won none. I'm saying he's collectively...
No. He's won more this year than he ever has. He just hasn't won a major. He's won 5 tournaments this year, I think.
Well, he's definitely a wild man. Let's talk to Mike in Oregon. Mike, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. How's it going?
We're doing good. You got a question? We're good. Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, for the governor. Sir, I could have swore you had mentioned on this show or earlier, perhaps maybe a year or so ago, about if you were elected president, you might actually consider legislation forcing Congress and senators and so forth, elected officials like that, preventing them from actually retiring. And I've been thinking about that, and if there was such a thing, would that not certainly reduce a great amount of corruption right off the bat?
Yeah, absolutely. There should never be a retirement for what they call public service.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That would bring you term limits without implementing them, because nobody's going to sit there and get elected for 25 years and not get a retirement from it.
And then you bring in people to government that aren't just there to try to feather their nest.
Exactly. You bring people in like it was designed. You go there to serve, and when you're done serving, you go back to what you used to do. It's a classic way to eliminate career politicians. That's why they won't do it.
Well, Governor, I think that if you go ahead and we make this happen for you, I think, honestly, that would be some great, great laws passed.
Well, thank you, Mike.
Well, remember, Mike, I can't pass a law. People need to understand that according to our Constitution. The president, although you'd wonder about it today, but the president can't pass a law. Only the Congress.
That's right. So even if Ron Paul would have gotten elected, they would have tried to block him. So it's one step. Ron Paul, we're going to break, Governor, but Ron Paul, would you try to have him on your cabinet as an advisor if you won the presidency?
Oh, I certainly would love to have any participation Congressman Paul would give me. Absolutely.
How about head of the Treasury?
Yeah, I'll make Ron Paul Treasury Secretary.
All right, final segment. All right, final segment with Governor Jesse Ventura. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. All right, Jesse Ventura leaves us here in about 6 minutes. I'm going to jam in a few more of your phone calls. I'll continue with calls. We've got a guest on about the immigration reform stuff. Governor, I was telling you, you were saying you had an incredible experience with these gray whales, and I was saying I didn't think Stonehenge would do anything. I was like, oh, it's boring. Why'd we go here? I walked across what they said was the ley line without them telling me, and I was like electrified. I felt like I was 18. And everybody else I was with felt it. My mother, when she was there a decade ago, said she felt that. And you told me a similar story.
Well, yeah, when I went to the pyramids, and when I was governor, I did a trade mission to Mexico, and they took me to the pyramids, and we walked to the top of the pyramids, and right at the top there was a group of Mexicans, maybe 3 or 4, who had their hand placed right on the center. And I inquired, I said, what are they doing? And they said, well, they believe the pyramid has energy, and the energy's transferring to them. So I thought, this is interesting. So I went over and I put my hand down there, and I left it there for about 10 minutes, and it's true. You know how I know it's true, Alex?
How?
Because I had way more energy going down the pyramid than I had coming up.
I bet. No, let me tell you, I'm not going to go, I got pretty excited. I mean, it was, and then I...
No, I know. That's a joke. I did have fun with that because I told my security that too. I said, God, this works. I said, I got way more energy going down this pyramid than I had going up it.
Exactly. But I mean, did you really feel the energy though?
No, I can't say that I did. I'm not going to tell you that I sat there and, all of a sudden, my ears perked up or I felt electricity going through my body. No, I did not. But it's not to say that it isn't true. There's a lot of things we don't know about in this universe that we they
Hey, I mean, it's just a magnetic field, exactly. You know, I mean, I think it's kind of. It felt like when I was in a room with a big at the Midwestern American Museum, they turned on the biggest above-ground Tesla coil, and you feel it. I mean, I felt that and knew what it was, and I felt something like that, and I think it's electricity coming out of the earth, kind of like the poles.
And always remember that you have a flow of electricity that goes through your body. That's what any acupuncturist taps into.
Exactly.
So, there's a lot of things we don't know and understand, and I think that, in the old days, anything we didn't know or understand, we attributed to God. Well, today we understand a lot more things, so we don't necessarily attribute everything to him.
Let's jam in a few more calls. Anthony in Miami, quick question for Jesse.
Hello, Mr. Governor. How you doing? I'm a big fan of yours, and I believe that you will be the greatest man to be president next. And I wanted to know, if elected president, would you prosecute the true perpetrators of 9/11?
Well, first of all, you would need to before you could prosecute anybody, you'd need to have a real investigation of it. That's where you have to start off, and an unbiased investigation. The thing people need to understand when all of these, the 9/11 Commission, the Warren Commission, and all that, they're always there to prop up the official story. And the reason that it's called the official story is generally it's to protect officials.
Absolutely. Let's jam in one more. Jonathan in New York, you're on the air with Ventura. Ask your question.
Hey, Jesse, man, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Quick question. I want to know your opinion. Do you think the American people will finally wake up with 9/11 if there was like an official whistleblower to blow that story apart?
Sybil Edmonds.
Probably not, because the mainstream media won't allow the whistleblower the light of day. I saw it this past fall in Chicago when Judith Ferry Baker came from Sweden. She was Lee Harvey Oswald's lover in New Orleans, and she can testify that she went to dinner with Jack Ruby and Lee Oswald on multiple occasions, and that Lee was a paid government agent.
Sybil Edmonds.
And yet she couldn't get any press there because they will not cover it, and I think the same thing would hold true at 9/11.
Yeah, people say if this was happening, people go public. Sybil Edmonds was at the NSA. She heard the government running the attacks. Governor, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Alex. We'll do it in the fall for sure. Have a good one, and hi to everybody down there in Austin.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happened.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.